We're just gonna keep going.
We're
And
practicing. All right.
now I've never. Anyway, thanks for being on the show today. Never had that happen before, and I've been doing this for 3 years. This podcast, but anyway, so you joined the Marine Corps as a
Hmm.
kid,
Yes.
and we kind of did this already, but nobody's really gonna know. But you said you had so you told me you joined the Marine Corps. Let's go through that again. Why did you join the
Okay.
Marine Corps?
So I joined the Marine Corps because there was limited options that I had after leaving high school. I was a tennis guy, so I had a scholarship to play tennis, but it was only partial.
So hold
My
on a second. You didn't say that before.
well,
You
we
just
can't.
said that before. You said you were a C student, and then you had limited options.
Yeah, I was a C student, but an
No, go
excellent
back to the
tennis player.
tennis. You play. Do you still play tennis, or is that just something that
Yeah,
you
I
picked
still
up
play
in?
tennis every once in a while. Yeah, I was good at it. I was good, man. I was ranked like 60th in the state. Yeah,
Oh, really?
real good. But it was a partial scholarship, and so I didn't want to put my parents through. If I go to school, couldn't cut the mustard because my sister got sent home because she was an A student, but she got up there and messed up too much social. She didn't get out enough, and she got up there and partied too much. So I'm like, if that happened to her, imagine what's gonna happen to me when I go up there. I'm gonna be partying my butt. So I'm like, I don't want to put my parents through that. So I was like, let me get out of this small town. Military was something I was interested in. It was either Navy first because I just like the uniforms. I was like, had some people that
Really?
was in the Navy.
I hated the new uniforms. I
The
hated
white,
them.
the white, the
I
white.
don't care.
Um,
Whites, the black, the blues, and then the horrible dungarees.
but then I thought about it and I said, option wise, there's two bases that either California or Lejeune, where most of the people go, and I thought it'd be a good challenge. And so my father, I grew up with a very strict father that worked me to death. And so I thought that this would be a good way to challenge. And everybody else was going Army, Navy, and I wanted to be kind of different. So I was the only one from my class in the last three classes that actually joined the Marine Corps. Actually, so it was a challenge for me.
Anybody else in your family military? Prior
Oh
military?
yeah, we got military, but I'm the only Marine.
What's the other? What was your dad in the service?
My dad was Army. My other most of the Army, mostly Army. Maybe a couple of Navy guys, but my walls, they have a wall for my family reunions to all the veterans, and I'm the only crazy one.
Well, your Marine Corps. Uh, so your dad, you said he was strict. Do you think that was from the military, or is that just?
My dad came from that, but my grandfather was strict. Are you talking about the old? Like I said, he just passed away last weekend. 95 years old. The old sharecropper, hardworking. Go to church, no drinking, no flaw looking around. Do what I say the first time, or it's game time. So no, you didn't play. He was called that man the first 18 years of my life. It wasn't my father. It was like that man. She was like, I'm gonna tell your father. I'm like, don't send the man. Because he was very strict, right? But he kept me straight and he worked the daylights out of me on the farm. So by the time I got the Marine Corps, when they were screaming at me that you always see, I was used to that. It was funny to me. They had me. I got in trouble more times in the boot camp laughing than anything else because I would see guys peeing their pants after guys. I'm like, guys peed in pants. He's freaking out. Like my daddy screamed at me all the time. Like this, it's no big deal to me. So for a lot of guys, never had that structure or a father figure. It's a shock to them when somebody's, giving you that. And so, yeah, to watch other guys go through that, I'm like, what's wrong? What his problem is? My dad screamed at me all the time. Like, so it was weird. It was
Yeah,
weird.
I grew up in kind of the same situation,
Right.
and when I was in boot camp in the Navy, which is a joke, I'd have to. I was in. We had the first guy in charge. I was second in charge, and my bunch of my guys screwed up, so they sent me to a marching party, and I'm out there watching these guys like, "Get your legs up!" I get them, and all that stuff, and it's like, dude, just fall down. What you're abusing yourself, and they're laughing their ass off at you because you're crying and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
They want you to go as far as you can until you can't go anymore, and
Mhm.
then that's it. But if you're gonna
Well,
cry about it, they're gonna pick on you.
back in my days in the Corps, they would put hands on you. So yeah, it
What year was
was
that?
Huh?
What year was that?
88?
See,
88?
no, as of 84, they were not supposed to touch you anymore.
No, they wasn't supposed to.
I know, but I'm just saying. But what they would do, a lot of them would do, go, see my hand right here? Lean into it. Lean
Yeah.
into as much as
Oh
you
yeah.
can. Yeah.
No, 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 no. They had a special for me. They were like, they couldn't stop. They was like, they pulled me. I will never forget. They pulled me out of a rack in the middle of the night and took me to the laundry room. Like, we tired of you, Brown. I'm like, what are you talking about, sir? Shoot. Them rascals, man. We are tired of you, Brown. You are having too much fun. I'm like, one of the things they did was hilarious. I'll tell you a story. So I grew up in South Carolina. Beaufort's only 60 miles from where I live at. So it's just down the road. So I didn't get any mail for like a week. No mail. So they called me to the to the office, boom, boom, boom. And they came in there and I was like, yes, sir. And it was like, and they had a letter like this. And it was smelling. It was like, who's Cindy? And I was like, oh man, they got a girl, because the girl sends you a letter with the picture, and then you're like, oh, you waiting on this because it's the only thing you got. And so they were like, huh. It was like, Sergeant Hines, how far is St. George from here? He was like, about 60 miles. You think we can get there tonight and get back by in the morning? Because Cindy smells good. I'm like, ooh, the mind games. Oh my goodness, the mind games. Oh, they found a way to break me. They broke me. They
Really?
broke me. It took them a while. They finally got me. That and some punching.
And then my son was in the Army and he's in the
Uh-huh.
boot camp, right? And they have their freaking cell phones. I'm like, what the hell? We
We,
had to go to the pay phones and you get permission to use the pay phones.
you had payphones. We had none. You get no phone calls.
No, I mean, no, I didn't say in boot camp. I mean,
Christmas.
no, yeah,
Christmas,
after.
you get one phone call. That's it. I remember Christmas. Like, got 5 minutes, bro. So, mom, everything is good? Yes, sir. All right, good. Gotta go.
No, I mean
No phone. We didn't get no phone. We went to Fort Sill for training. I was in there and went to the E Club, and I'm like, the recruits saying they ball headed. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, these are recruits. I'm like, these guys are here drinking beer. What is going on? I joined the wrong.
were
Joined
they
the
out on?
wrong unit,
Were they
man.
did they graduate or were they still in?
They had the ball heads that were in the E Club. They were.
Yeah, I
I
know,
mean,
but
it
I'm
was
saying, but that could have been after graduation and no
no.
place to go.
I mean,
Oh,
but then you walked around like base, and I'm like, man, these guys got it good. Like, what is going on here? The boot camp is totally different than ours. I was like, man. Then when you go to the Air Force Base, oh, and the guy I'll never forget coming out of the field first time on our Air Force Base, and the guy goes, how would you like your eggs? I'm like, cooked. He's like, no, how would you like them? You want them? You want an omelet? I'm like, what are you asking me?
you give
Like,
me
you crazy?
choices?
I just don't want a vat can full of powdered eggs I've been eating for the last 10 days in the field. You talking about something? What's going on here? When you go in and the vending machines aren't tied down, you're back to civilization, right? Because they dogged ours down. Because
You tip them over to get the stuff out of them.
you got microwave in the rec room. Shh, we don't have nothing.
All right, so you're infantry because you went to Fort Sill. That was infantry, right?
Artillery.
Artillery. That's right.
Hmm.
Still infantry, right? I mean, still.
Well, yeah, our motto is if you can't truck it. So, but that's artillery. So, but we still humped. So, yeah, we're one level above. We support the infantry. Wherever they move, we move.
And what were you in charge of?
Uh,
Eh,
16,700 pound M1908 howitzer is what you call it.
Right. So how's your
We got
hearing?
I got denied for tinnitus. Still working on that. So we're still
How do you
working.
get denied for tinnitus?
I
How do you get denied for you can't even test on that.
denied. My boy just got turned down. Sent me a text message today. I got him trying to set him up finally. He's like, man, they denied me. I was like, yeah,
Why are they denying?
it's what I guess that's what
First
I don't
time
know.
deny it. Yeah, when you because what people don't understand when you're getting out, who don't get out and haven't been through the process, you have a medical record. You go through all that with somebody, and you put in all that things that are in there, and then they'll come back and say whether or not you get it. But if it's you want to have it put in there so that you had those complaints from the beginning.
But for the Marine Corps, you got to get to BAS is the problem. So the problem with a lot of stuff that we go on, and we be in the field, and you'll have the normal stuff that you would have in any type of civilian type of accident, fall off a truck, and this and that, and the deal of it is you just deal with it. I mean, every Marine had a 50 pack of Motrin, just popping them rascals, pop, 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 pop. So falling off a truck, getting your arm hit. I mean, you're in artillery, heavy equipment. You're moving at night. You got holes, divot holes. Tailgates fall off. You're dealing with nets. You're dealing with all kind of crazy stuff. You're running. You got gear. You got night watch. So all kind of injuries happen. But we're the last ones to come in for the VA, and I had to be told, like, go get your benefits. I'm like, what? You're not okay. I'm like, no, I'm fine. It's like, when you go in the bank, what do you do? I'm like, well, we all do the same thing. You case the joint. You figure out who you're gonna take out first. Like when you go to a restaurant, where you sit, I'll sit on this side. Nah, you need to switch with me. You'd be like, why? I just feel better sitting over there. You
Have my
sit
back
with you.
against the wall where I can see the door.
My boy was like, you see that? I'm like, really? He's like, that's not normal. I'm like, that's normal. How long you
Yeah.
sleep a night? 4 hours. Right? It's not normal. So yeah, we operate 85% most of the time is 100% for other people, right? Maybe less than that. I've seen some guys that can operate less than that, but that's normal for us. We've been trained, and so that training is what people need to find out if get repercussions for that. Some of the things the sleep, the night sweats, the stuff you wake up, my whole freaking bed is covered. That happens every once in a while. It's just like, no reason you're waking up and you're still going through some things, and you just think it's normal. Oh, it's all right. It's something, bouts of depression, chest pains. I seen some guys with fibromyalgia. We was over in the Gulf. One of my guys, Pico, he just coughs all the time. I mean, all the time. He just like this, trying to catch his breath all the time, and that's from the stuff that he had. It's like, and plus the fact I was on in June with the water deal. Nobody knew about that until 2 years ago, right?
Right.
So
Did you put in for that settlement?
missed it by 1 year, but I'm glad I missed it because
Yeah,
I've
me
seen some
too. I
guys
was
who had it, and you notice when you go out to Lejeune to the graveyard, you'll see all these little baby um, plots out there, is because they were washing their children in JP5. So it's kind of crazy stuff. But that's what you sign up for. It's like being an NFL player, right? If you do your 5 years, they get a little salary, to get them over, because they're not normal human beings. So everybody should get some type. And I have to convince guys to go get theirs. It took a while for guys to get mine. I didn't even know about it till 2014. I was at a retirement ceremony, and the guy was like, "What percentage you had?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, you go to the VA?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur." It's like, what percentage? I'm like, percentage of what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh man, you just that, and this and that. I'm like, nobody told me. And I go to the VA. Been going to the VA since '98.
Wow.
Nobody sat down and told you getting your benefits. I think I'm going to the VA, talking to the doctor. Nobody saying a word. And with the VFW, nobody said a word. Meanwhile, all these guys that know got the trucks and got the to say, I'm like, where are all these big trucks down here at the VA? These big old GMC Denali's with the tags on the back says DV. What is all that about?
So what you're saying is, when you got out, there was no program for transferring and saying, okay, this is what you need to do on your way out. Go talk to DAV, Disabled American Vets, because a lot of times they help in California and other places. None of those
Not a
things.
word.
Where were you stationed when you got out?
Camp Lejeune.
Okay, that was weird that they didn't do that.
Nobody. You got out the back gate. You got your stuff. You packed it up. You got your severance. You went home, and you might have the only thing you had in your mind is I got the GI Bill. That's it.
Yeah, but that was horrible.
Nobody told.
That one we had was horrible. That
Yeah,
GI Bill was horrible.
yeah, it was. And so, um,
But see, I was lucky when I was in. I was able to do my bachelor's while I was in and start working on my master's. They would reimburse me because I had the time. You didn't have the time. You were everywhere. We talked about this before. You were at Mount Fuji.
couldn't do school. 3 months, you're gone. Air alert, pull out, gone. Correspondence courses, but you're in the field, man. You're in the field. You go in the field 15, 20, 25 days. You come out, you just happy to be out. Come out for 2 or 3 weeks. Something else will happen. You pop off. You got to go. You're on a C5 heading to Cuba. We're going to Cuba. So, that's division. So I looked at everybody else that was in normal jobs, admin and all that other stuff. And that was one of the reasons when I, went to re-enlist or just go down to the career jam, or we call him the career jammer. And he gave me the options, like you can go DI duty. I'm like meritorious corporal. I was an E5. And I was like, get me out of artillery. He was like, well, we can go DI duty. I'm like, yeah, but I'm coming back to artillery, brother. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Out there in the cold. I said, I didn't sign up for it. I just did 6 years time, like no felony. I just did 6 years time, convicted with you had no evidence. I just did 6 years, man. Get me out. Get me somewhere. Admin. Get me supply. Get me something where I'm not killing myself. I'm like, I'm out here killing myself. I said, I'm not doing that. And only one out of all 190 guys that I was in that served, I think only 2 stayed in artillery. Everybody else either went to another or they were in comm, because my unit was truckers, comm, and all those guys. They was saying, but artillery, the gun rocks, only 2 guys out of maybe like 125 maybe stayed. It was just no.
But you didn't get an opportunity to get out of it, so you just left?
No, he kept giving me, and I said, you look at my no page 11s, no page 12s, meritorious corporal, you can shoot the stars out. I went up for presidential guard, went up for that. And so I'm like, get me something, but he kept giving me the INIs and
What's
the
ionize?
INIs, like when you go up to the skate job, you go up to like Virginia and you do INI duty up there. It's like you could do like burial duty, but if you're big enough, or you can go up there and do like the special operations or something, like working for generals, INI duty, or Marine Corps Security Guard, MSG guard. You don't want to do that. I mean, that's hard duty right there, man. You're gone. You're gone. That's for guys who just. And I had a family. I mean, not a family, but I love my mom and dad. I didn't want it. I go away, but I come back. I always wanted to come home. MSG, you're gone. 2 years maybe. Then Marine Corps Security Guard. And then what's the other one they had? Recruiting duty, DI duty, recruiting duty, or you come right back. So once you go in as an E5, you come back, you'll be a staff sergeant. You're stuck in your billet. You're not going to change MOSs at that time. You'll be an artillery staff sergeant, gunnery staff sergeant. You'll be still out there, but you have a bunch of troops underneath you, but you still be in the field. And I was like, no, dog, I'm not that cold weather training, -40 below, and that climbing mountains and getting bit by ticks, and 6 years of that, and going to Gulf War out in the desert. One of the guys I talked to, he was at a graduation. He was in the Army. He had he had all his badges up here and this and that. And I was looking at him. I was like, that's cute. He was like, yeah, 21 years in the Army. I said, yep. I said, 21 years in the Army is like 6 years in the Corps. And he was like, you know what? You're right about that. You age quickly in the Corps, brother. Let's go. Where we going now? I don't know. Let's pack your stuff. We're going. So, but you know what? I have no regrets. I loved it. I have lifelong brothers. We talk all the time, at least once every other day. I have a Facebook group of guys. I'm helping them get their benefits. When somebody passes away, there's somebody there. Most of the guys from the unit are there. One of my friends, his son died in a car accident. He was a Marine and a policeman. And so, guys, like, we're going up. It's good to see. And the reunions are therapy.
Hmm.
I'll emphasize that again. The reunions that we have are therapy. So when I went to that retirement ceremony, I wanted my other guys to feel like I felt like I don't have to explain anything to you. I don't have to talk. You already know who I am. We're Marines. It's like being back at the barracks when we have the reunions. Nobody's changed. So I wanted everybody to feel that way. So I had an alpha roster with social security numbers. So I just went start calling. I'm good. I went through and found about 75-80% of the guys. And we now have a group together. And we've had a couple of reunions. And those reunions are, man, it's good to see the guys and just sit down. And we don't have to do anything. Just sit down and talk. Just leave us alone. Give us some brews, some cigars. And, we had a ceremony. I've had it twice here. And so I know how to put reunions together. And so, and then we had a reunion with the India battery from Vietnam. They had their 50th reunion, and they invited us, since we were India battery, to their reunion with our guys in San Diego. We went out to Camp Pendleton to our artillery unit. We ate at the Chow Hall. We came back. We had a program. I did a speech, the whole deal. And it's so funny. Those guys are, I was friends with them, but so many of them have passed away. These Vietnam veterans.
Hmm.
So that association is kind of, so we're the next level, right? Gulf War guys, right? Because combat, combat guys are in between, and then you got the '06 guys, '07 guys. They got their time coming up. So I said we have not been in a conflict seriously for 17 years, which is very rare. Normally it's every 10 years we're in something. So it's been a long time. That's why all of this feminism is kicked out, because we haven't been in a conflict in a while. We start messing with each other, and when we don't have nobody to mess with, and you see that in the population right now.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing was Afghanistan, and that was horrible. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and the way we got out of that, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Vietnam. Yeah. That's what happens when you have Democratic presidents take us out of certain things. They don't do it.
Oh, here he goes. The shot. He just set the shot.
Yeah,
He's able to say
Carter and Biden, dude. They're both Democratic presidents. So they don't do, they weren't in it during the whole period of time of it, So
no.
They have they want to do this, this, and this. They don't, and it doesn't work that way. So
It looks like we're coming back, though.
we'll see. Well, you got to be, if you're a JD Vance fan, since he was a Marine corporal.
What was he? What was his MO?
I have no idea. I don't know that.
Correspondence.
Oh. No wonder he was able to get his degree and go on to law school.
That's why I was like, what? And he went to where? And then what? I'm like, okay, what was his MOS? Correspond. Oh, okay. Yeah, that matches right there. That was a little brim on his hat. He just put, oh, by the way, I'm a Marine. You're that too? Yeah. It's down there. The ink was thick. We had to sharpen our pencils with the manual.
He got lucky. He got lucky. He didn't get artillery. He didn't get.
There was a Pica typewriter in the corner we used to look at.
My HASVAB was much better than yours. And that's the big thing I tell everybody: study for your ASVAB. Do what you need to do. That sets up everything. And that was like me when I was in the Navy. When my 18 months was up, and as a corpsman, they said, "Okay, you have two choices." This is at Camp Pendleton. You're going to a ship or a specialty school. And I said, "Well, what specialty schools are not on a ship?" And they said, "Physical therapy." I said, "That's what I'm doing." That's where I went to. And then guess what? I got back to Camp Pendleton. So not only do Marines go back to Camp Pendleton, so do the Navy guys.
Yeah. Send you back to the fleet. You're going back to the phase. You're going back to the fleet. Oh, man. Got to go back and, oh, man.
Sometimes when you get out, there's the first thing you want to give up. For me, it was 1400, 1500, the clock. I wanted 1 o'clock to, I know what time it is. I don't need to, I'm not in the medical field. I'm not in the military. What was the first thing you wanted to give up when you got out?
Wow.
Okay, while you're thinking about that, then maybe it might be easier to ask you, what do you still do today that you learned from the military?
I can wake up anytime I want, literally. And it
You
still
have
irks
an
me to
alarm clock?
it still irks me to the day. I have a clock that shoots up at the ceiling. So you don't have to turn your head, you just open your eyes and look up and it's there. It's awesome. Awesome. But most of the time I always do a little bet with myself. How close am I? I wake up and I'll be around up and I'll say what time it is. And then I'm normally no more than 3 minutes off. So, doing Firewatch all those times, you knew you didn't have an alarm clock. Ding, ding, ding. It's your time to wake up the next guy. You stealth. So you had to know when to get up. And so that's your brain. And if you know it's instilled in you as a Marine, especially in division, that if you don't get somebody up, somebody can die. Literally. And so, that type of anxiety still goes through the head still today. Like you got to know what time it is. Got to know what time it is, especially at night, right? So that hasn't left. I think the things. I think the boots I got. I love the boots. I still have some. I still got jungle boots in there just for GP. So a lot of things I still instill. The clock 1400, 1500. I was kind of the soft one. And let me tell you this, Ed. There's a lot of guys who got more soul than most people, right? I mean, their whole entire life, their whole entire being was being a Marine.
Right.
Mine wasn't because I knew there was something on the other side. So there was we call them lifers or
Uh-huh.
some guys that would
We have them in
just,
the Navy too. They have them in the Air Force, and
yeah.
they're more
But
of a chair lifer, but that's beside the point.
yeah, but then there were some guys that are not lifers that sucked, but was so dedicated. Like, you wouldn't let I mean, like, "You still on that?" I was lucky, that I was able to discern the difference between civilian and military life, but I've seen guys that I visited, I found, and they're still in. I mean, you walk up, you haven't seen this guy in 25 years, I found him, his family's there, he's in the back, and you come out, and he's in camis, desert camis, and I'm like, "Whoa." Hey, it's like, oh, and the family's like looking at you. I'm like, he's still in. So I've seen extremes of what can happen on that back end, and they're not employable. Those guys are not workable. They're not relationship wise. They can't function in a relationship. They only get divorced. Their kids are sprawn all the way. There's normally alcohol thrown in there somewhere. And It's sad. It's
Yep.
sad. Some of the situations some of these guys are in. I mean, I was lucky enough to go through. I still have my battles of everything, but I was cognitive of it to get help. I mean, I went through bouts of depression. It was 6 months there. I just didn't even want to come out the house. I couldn't figure out what that was all about, and so got help with that.
How'd you
And
get
that's
help? Through the VA or somewhere else?
Yeah, I started with the. I didn't know there was help through the VA. I didn't know
A
what
lot
was
of
wrong
people
with me.
don't think there still is, but anyway.
Yeah, and so I reached out and they started. You know, I really didn't get real until I found my guys. Now, for us in the Marine Corps, like I said, is artillery units 125 guys. You go everywhere together. You're a unit. So that's the rarity that you have in division. It's not like five guys in the office and you go down there to your little what do you call it, your place, and you got this guy, and this guy. No, you sleep in the bunk next to these guys in squad bays. You've been in the belly of the ships. You on a C5 with these guys. You're out in desert. You're in the cold weather. So when I mean you know a guy, you really really know a guy when you're in division and you're going through it and you go through war with these guys. Now I understand how tight that is. We're different kind of Marines when you go through that, when you go through war, because you actually understand, unlike other forces, which is you're dedicated, that you don't leave nobody. You'll give your life up for a dead body. So when they say Marine Corps do or die, That's what it was, and that's what it's still today. If the guy calls me, and I got 100 guys. The guy calls me, needs something, he gets it, no hesitation. I got family members I won't do that stuff for. You know what I mean? Cousins and close friends, no. But if I get in trouble, I pick up the phone and call somebody. Say, hey man, I need you to be here tomorrow. That rascal gonna be on the plane. That's dedication. That's more than brotherhood. That's why I always look at the Marine Corps and I'm like, I'm kind of proud I did it because it's the most solitude of brotherhood. And when I go over and I see a guy and I go simplify, he understands exactly what I'm telling him. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mhm.
and the guy's like, how do you know he's a Marine? Like, we know each other. You know what I'm saying? We know. The guy says, or, you're a Marine or something like that. I've gotten out of more fights because I was a Marine than in a fight because guys would start and I say, you with a Marine, right? And the guy would look at me and I said, you know what that means? I said, that means you might win, but you're going to remember me. Your choice. I'm willing to go. We're going all the way. And they're looking, they go, I'm not that dedicated. You can see the dedication start to fall. Like, I know these guys. When he says that, I don't want to chance that.
Yeah.
You might
I
get
just
through a briar patch, but you're gonna be ripped.
someone's going home in an ambulance and someone's going home in a police car.
Somebody.
All right. So your group of guys, you said you have them on a Facebook group just
Mhm.
for those guys, right? Okay.
Yes.
And then do you have like other things you guys do together besides, I mean, have you thought about, and this is just throwing it out there because this is what I do, doing a podcast with those guys, talking about your service and talking about the stuff to help. And here's the
Yeah.
reason. I interviewed a guy and he started a podcast interviewing other people like I'm doing. And it was his way of, he didn't realize at the time, but it was his therapy. He was
Yeah.
able
I've,
to
I've,
talk.
that's why we have the reunions. I've never heard of that. Well, I never thought of interviewing my guys. A majority of them would probably be like, no. Um,
Well, you could just, what are you up to? Where's going on? That way it'd be for your group, more of a smaller
yeah.
group, and just have it in your group. Don't put it out to the world. Just put
Oh,
it out for
okay.
your people. You follow me? It'd be more
Okay.
of a
I
tight
got
knit
you.
group. Yeah.
Okay. I the first time I thought about that, I mean, yeah, that could be something beneficial for some of the guys. But what I do is I introduce them into the group, and most of the guys have never communicated. What I do, Ed, is when they come into the group, when I find them, and I'm still finding guys. Just found McElroy about 2 months ago. The guy's been out, and I said been out there, and I know how he feels. He's been out there alone going through all of these different things. Nobody, no support. Nobody really understands. So when you call these guys up for the first time and they're like, man, they know my call sign is Yella. I'm like, it's Yella. It's like, is it you? Man, what's going on? And I'm like, we got the group. I said, I got a group of all of us. They're like, what? We've been together the whole time. Like, man, I didn't know. And like, first thing I do is welcome home, bro. Welcome home. And you see the tears and you got Reese and Holt's in there, Holt, and they start telling the stories right off the bat.
Right.
Like, remember when we were in Bragg? And I'm like, here we go, and that's just the therapy just starts. It just starts right then and there. So I'm
I'm
proud of
just saying,
doing that.
but then you can have other people come in and help them because you said you're helping them get their disability they don't know about and other stuff.
Yeah.
But you could interview like people I do. I had a lady who was 30 years of the VA and she helps people like that and she doesn't charge. So, and she knows how to do certain things and how to get certain ratings and certain things. I'm just saying you could do it just for your group.
Yeah.
And then you can always
Privately.
add in the 2008, what I mean, the other ones, like if you wanted to expand it once you dealt with everybody in the group. It's just a thought. You have a close-knit group that nobody else has that has to go and build, but you have them from the moment you've been together. So what more can you do just for that group and only have it in the group so that nobody else can hear anything they say?
Sounds good. I might do something like
It's just
that.
a thought. I mean, it's not like the first time we talked. And I know you're in sales now. Have you used anything from the Marine Corps in sales besides beating people up?
Ooh, it's
Take this.
really tonology, your tone of your voice. the deepness of it, it changes a lot of things when you go into it and you start, when you're on the phone and you change your tone to something like this. It's more direct, or you can go back up all the way to the top the way I normally talk.
Yeah, see, I'm
And so I
always like
can
this.
I can use different techniques like that, because in the, in the Marine Corps, it's all about tone. Hey, Marine, it's like my children know when I go, hey, like that. Women can't do that. It's like you get the attention. That's what the father's supposed to do, right? Gets that attention. That tone does a lot. That deep tone. It's like changes whole perception. So, oh, wait a minute, somebody said something. I'm doing something wrong, right? So I would take that from it in sales, actually.
Yeah, use your diaphragm.
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of like I don't need a mic when I'm at certain places. It's not. But when I use it, it's not for me. It's for the people who can't hear.
My kids would be across the store, and I'll be like, "Oh!" Like I'll hit it at the exact. It'd be quick. It goes all the way across the store. The tone goes all the way over there, and you see my kids turn around because they know that's dad. It's like a call sign, right? I don't have to yell "Hey!" like that for long. It's like go, and it just you can see it echoes, and you see them turn around, and I'm like, I give them the rally sign. Let's go. Time to go.
Ben, anything else you want to add today? Because we've been doing this for a little bit.
Well, I tell people, if you ever feel a need to reach out, or if you hear this and you think that anything within 5% that you need help with, be sure to reach out to people and get the help that you basically need. Talk to somebody. If you feel as though you're alone, which we all do it as humans, but in the military, you're true to be strong into the last part. That's why the rate is so high, because people get right to that point. They can't see any other way out because they let it go so long. Reach out to your guys that you serve with and have that conversation first, or just keep in a loop of that. I mean, even guys you hated will help therapy wise, getting some of that stuff out of your head that nobody else has uncanned in years. I've had guys at the reunion that just had a grudge for 35 years since we've been in. Came to the reunion. I told the guys, this is going to change your life. He's like, oh man, it never changed my, this and that. And the gunny that we had was evil. He came to the reunion. He didn't even come down for the reunion. He's like, I'm not. And then he came down after the reunion and he gave his gunny and his wife a beer. And he said, I just want to give you this beer and say I'm sorry for all. And 30 years, 35 years of him hating this man, because of the things he did. Gunny was cruel, but Gunny was like, it was a job, right? It's my job. But separate the person from the job, and he couldn't do it. And so at that reunion, he left. He came back and said, my wife said, I totally changed. My children say I'm a totally changed person. Like, you changed my life. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. You get some of that stuff out. You don't even know it's in you. So, those 4 years that you have is from 18 to 22, 17 to 22, monumental parts of your life, whether you liked it or not. And so, you know, that's what you have to understand. You're human. It was a change you had to make. They changed you, some for good, some for bad. And if you feel that change, reach out and get help if you can't handle that change.
Yeah, get help. Stop asking. Most of us don't want to ask for help,
Right.
and that's how it goes back to the whole thing we talked about originally. It's if you were pinned down, you'd ask for support. So what's the difference?
Yep. Call for fire. Artillery's on the way.
Ben, thanks so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome anytime.
All right, make it a great day.